I need to have.
You don't need to have that. It's just 2:30, right? It starts at 3.
Oh, I'm
If
thinking I'm looking at the dang time
so,
wrong. I'm
you don't
thinking
need to have that mic on until 3.
it's at 2, so they can't.
This which finger? See that ticket off? If I touch anywhere, Hello. Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
Hey, we can hear you.
Good.
Hello, you're coming through loud and clear.
You getting better and better, Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor, you coming through loud and clear.
Okay.
Vice Mayor, you been doing okay?
Yeah.
You looking good.
I don't know about that.
You are.
I don't see you. I see your name. Oh, I don't even see your name. Now I see.
Hi there.
Y'all making me comb my hair. Y'all know we that like we have more meetings since we had Zoom than we had when we had.
We want to make sure you get a lot of practice. 'Cause see, that's what
Sure, I gotta have in it.
Y'all know this recording, right?
It's all right.
Yeah, I'm just, it's just recording. I just wanted to kind of at least echo that and share.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did not know it was recording, so.
Look at your on your screen, Vice Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at your screen there, I don't know how it's configured, but you should see like a recording. There's a little red dot on this screen, top left corner. Maybe I don't know if that's how you got yours configured. You see live on YouTube, it's right near that section there showing recording.
Okay. Oh, I thought that thing was at the bottom where they said.
Well, it could be. I don't know where it is on
where
your.
It said record by the little.
Yeah. But,
where I'm muting stuff. It's not by that.
Well, actually, I'm looking at it on the screen that is showing you're on the display right now, and I see our interim city attorney, Ms. Valeria Thomas. She's on. I see my name, and then I guess I keep going across here. But it's the way it configured as people are coming online. That's it's reconfiguring the screen.
Okay. So I need to mute myself or just.
Well, we're on. It's 3:02 now.
You're okay. Yeah, I'm just waiting on y'all.
Okay. Hey, Mayor.
How are you?
I'm here. That's saying something.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna call this meeting to order. And to Commissioners Mary Lawson Brown, Rufus Borum, Justin Campbell, and Tammy McCaskill, you're hereby notified that a special call meeting of the City Commission is called to be held via video and teleconference at 3 p.m. on July 1st, 2020. The meeting will originate from City Hall located at 201 North 2nd Street, Palatka, Florida, 32177. But participation attendance may occur by one or all commissioners, mayors, and the public via telecommunications, media technology in accord with Governor DeSantis' Executive Order number 20-69 issued on March 20th of 2020. The purpose of this meeting is to adopt a resolution requiring the wearing of face covering subject to certain exceptions, adopt a resolution awarding state pricing for HMGP 4283 R66 lift station upgrades, adopt a resolution authorizing execution of USDA R 4280-2 grant documents. And it's acknowledged by all. Please govern yourselves accordingly. As we move into the meeting, this time we're going to have our invocation and our pledge. I guess if we could all stand in our respective places. I'm gonna ask if Vice Mayor Brown could lead us in the pledge and the invocation.
Dear most gracious Father, thank thee for all thy many blessings. Help us to get through this pandemic and have our people safe and be able to start and do our lives where we can be close together again. Guide us to make great decisions, to do the best we can to help as many people as we can for as long as we can. Help us to spread love to each other and to communicate with each other so that understanding and love can guide us through hard times. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
A roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Roll call. Vice Mayor Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Campbell,
Present.
Commissioner Borum,
Present.
Commissioner McCaskill,
Here.
Terrell Hill, I'm here. For the record, all members are present, accounted for, and we have a quorum. Okay. Okay. We will move forward at this time. Our public comments. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No action will be taken on topics of discussion. Is there anyone here to speak during general public comment and not speak during our regular public comment? At this time, we will take anyone here for general public comment. You can comment either through the chat function on the YouTube Live, or you can comment by dialing 329-0100, and those calls will be funneled accordingly. Only 3 calls per line. Is there anyone here for public comment? Again, the number is 386-329-0100. At this time, we have 1 person on the line for public comment. When you come on board, please state your name and address for the record, and also speak clearly. Commissioner Campbell, will you time it for us? And we will move forward from there. First person up. Caller, can you hear me? Can you hold 1 second? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, I've got you on the call. You got 3 minutes. Can you hear him? Hold on 1 second, Mr. Parsons, they can't hear you. Hold on 1 second. Okay, can you try now, Mr. Parsons? Is that better? Okay, David Parsons, we can't hear you. Can you hear me? I hear you very well. I'm trying to see if I can find out. There's another way. What about now? Try it one more time. Can you hear him now?
That's better.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Parsons.
Okay, my plan was to have this as an agenda item for the next meeting in July. But it looks like that's canceled. So I wanted to bring it to you all today, requesting that we take a look and hopefully we can add this as an emergency item to look at permits for Blue Crab. That it would be Labor Day weekend is what we were shooting for in September. So we're getting down to 60 days until that time frame. We had our paperwork submitted and it would have gone to the last meeting before the commission met, but that meeting was canceled. So really our only change would be that the dates changed, but I know we can social distancing, hand washing stations, sanitizing stations, things like that. But I was hoping we could just be able to talk about it so we know how to move forward, from a permit standpoint, especially so that, we know one way or the other, we can plan, if the city doesn't feel comfortable, we'll know that, it's not going to happen this year. But, we want to make sure everybody has all the information there.
Okay, can everyone hear Mr. Parsons?
Yes.
Okay. I guess the easiest answer that we can kind of give you, Mr. Parsons, we just came off of our regularly scheduled call for with the county, and our uptick is we're over 230 cases in COVID over the last 30 days. We're going to have our largest number out as it relates to testing today that we've had thus far, significantly large. We don't know the answers. The numbers in Florida are now 5 times greater than they were 30 days ago. So we don't really know where we're going to be in 30 days, if there's going to be a downturn, if there's going to be a flattening of the curve. Quite honestly, we're probably, from a predictability standpoint, in the same place we were in March when this first happened, and actually a little worse, because those numbers are just so drastically, they're just that much higher. And there hasn't been anything whatsoever that we've seen to flatten this curve. We anticipated there would be a second wave of COVID. I'm not necessarily sure this is the second wave, but I can tell you that we went from believing that 1,300 was a huge number for COVID, and now we're close to 10,000 in one day. In Putnam County, we went from holding steady at 102 cases, and we are now looking close to 400 cases within the same period of time, within a 30-day period of time. And so for as much as we love Blue Crab, for me, I can say that I don't know the answer to where we're going to be Labor Day weekend. Everyone here has just began to plan. We can hope for the best. Schools have a tentative date to start in August 10th, but nobody really knows what's going to happen. And this thing is so far in the unknown right now. I don't know if the answer is to plan right now. It may be to just wait a couple of weeks and see what happens. But that's just my thought. If anyone else wants to chime in, Mr. Holmes, I know you've been participating in those calls with us, Chief Grimes as well, or anybody in the commission.
Well, I would mention that as of right now, we're issuing no special event permits. So in terms of a 50-day window, if I understood Mr. Parsons correctly, with a requirement that he make an application in not less than 30 days before the event, if the question was today whether he could make that application, he could make it, but it's not going to be approved. And whether anything's going to happen differently in the next 30 days, as you say, who can tell? The numbers, the description that we heard today on the emergency management call, Mr. Mayor, and you were on the call as well. The description we heard today was, quote, staggering. With that as a backdrop, I I don't know how anyone could predict right now that we'd be in so different a position in 3 weeks, so that we'd be wanting to staff and approve a special event permit of the size of a Blue Crab Festival.
Okay. Anyone else? So thank you, Mr. Parsons. I wish we could have given you more information, but you know, we're all, this is all, quite honestly, it's all right now just a matter of trying to see how this thing works and just praying that a vaccine happens soon.
I appreciate the feedback.
All right, thank you, sir. Line 2, caller, you're on. Caller. Hello. Okay. How are you, sir? Okay, you can go ahead and speak.
I'm going to address this particular issue from a scientific standpoint. I have a master's in public health with graduate coursework in epidemiology and biostatistics. And there's a lot of false information which is running around, and a lot of political debate that's going on about the use of masks. In this country right now, we have had over 129,000 deaths of this disease. Putnam County is fortunate to so far only have 6. But that's still 6 of our neighbors that we've lost. All the research right now is demonstrating that the use of masks, while not 100% effective, is the greatest social aspect that we can utilize in order to prevent transmission. From a public health standpoint, this is no different than the CPAP laws or the Clean Indoor Air Act that Florida has already enacted. We're in a position right now to be able to make a difference. This is not just a comfort level. It's not a political message. But from the scientific standpoint, we need to be wearing masks in public. We need to be reducing the amount of time people are spending with each other. And we need to be washing our hands more frequently. If those 3 things go into effect, we can watch this virus go away. However, if we don't do this on a larger scale, we're going to see the same uptick that we've been seeing in Florida and across the country. Thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, can everyone hear him?
Some of it.
Yes, heard him pretty good.
I heard most of it.
Well, he indicated that he's an epidemiologist with a master's in healthcare, and that masking is the greatest preventer thus far for the spread of the disease. That was kind of the crux of what he had in place. Was that pretty accurate? Sir, was that pretty accurate?
That's very accurate, yes.
Okay, and so any questions? Any comments? Again, thank you for your comments at this time, and we'll definitely appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you guys are doing for the city of Palatka.
Thank you, sir. Next caller. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, can you state your name and address for the record?
Stephanie Matos, 4801 St. John's Avenue.
Okay, Stephanie Matos. Can you, Ms. Matos, you want to go ahead and give us your comments? Can you hear her?
Yes.
You guys can hear me?
We can. If you can mute your device,
Yeah.
it may help us with the feedback.
You got the echo gone now?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so I'm going to really be short. I know you guys have got a lot going on today, but on the mask policy, have we thought through the fact that you cannot keep a 5-year-old in a mask for 8 to 10 hours a day in a daycare and expect that mask to actually have any kind of sanitary abilities whatsoever? Children cannot keep masks on all day long and it be effective whatsoever, not at all. I can't understand. You have on here ages 2 and up. So a 3-year-old to wear a mask all day long, you know, they get their hands all over it, they're sneezing in and out, they're swallowing back their own sneezing. I mean, you know how kids are gonna be. We can't keep kids in a mask all day long at our daycares. So I'm asking you to reconsider the policy in terms of children, and there's no need for it's unnecessary, and it's not going to be able to be enforceable. You can't do it. I mean, I'm not saying enforceable as far as from your end, I'm saying from our end, just keeping little kids in a mask.
No, we definitely thought about we thought about the impacts on little kids, and I think you'll hear more about that as we move forward with and also with school-age children of certain ages. You'll hear more about that as we talk about the exemptions that are in place for the masking.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is that your only concern?
At this time, yes, that's fine. Obviously, I'm completely against the masks, but I think we need to really start here. I mean, obviously, you guys are going to do the masks. We see that, we understand that, but we really need to think through how tight we're taking this to this level.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you for your comments, and they definitely will be considered.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak during public comment? This time, again, the number is 329-0100, 386-329-0100. Is there anyone else here for public comment at this time? Seeing no more calls, do we have anything in the chat, Ms. Robinson?
You have one in your chat, Mayor, to read.
There's a message in the. Can you read that for me?
Yes, sir. It's from. I'm sorry. A Daniel Shepherd, 522 South 19th Street. I support an ordinance requiring mandatory face masks in public. Many of our citizens are not acting in a reasonable manner concerning this pandemic. Just a visit to any area, grocery stores or retail outlets make this very clear. Without proactive action by our government leaders, this situation is going to continue. I'm sorry, I lost that page. It's going to continue to deteriorate. Doing the same thing over and over and hoping for different results is an act of brutality. Please support the mandatory face mask compliance. Again, that's Daniel Shepherd, 522 South 19th Street. And I have a call coming in, just a minute. Disregard, sir, they hung up.
I also see one, is it from Elena Lau? Hold on. We just heard from Stephanie Matos, Elena Lau. There should not be a face mask mandate. There's plenty of research that shows wearing a mask for long and or extended periods of time is harmful. Allegra Kitchens also says, I think that it is totally unnecessary and will be close to impossible to not require people outside in public to wear masks, but to require it inside businesses is discrimination. And those are the comments that I see at this time. With no more comments, without any further calls on there, we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time. And we will move on to item 1 of the agenda, which is to adopt resolution number 20R69, requiring face coverings subject to certain exemptions. Item 2 on our agenda. It's a resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing for mandatory indoor use of face coverings in response to continued spread of coronavirus. It's 2019. And has everyone had an opportunity to review the ordinance as written? And just to kind of give you some insight on this, as we look, just as I said previously about COVID, the numbers have quadrupled over the past week. What we're seeing in Putnam County is we see 42 new cases today. 19 was the high number last week for us in all COVID cases. We've since gone up to we're almost at 400 cases, at 350 cases. We had 189 new cases during the month of June alone, plus 42 on the first day of July. And these cases are not coming because of just increased testing. These cases are coming because we're starting to see more people coming into contact with other folks, going to events, going to parties, going to nightclubs, in internet cafes or game rooms and other places where they are contracting disease. We've had multiple daycares shut down. We've had restaurants that had to close. And what we're seeing consistently is an uptick across this country. Particularly the greatest numbers have been in Florida, Texas, and California. And Florida, unfortunately, is leading the way as it relates to these cases. And people are still walking around as if nothing is going on. We believe that, it's my belief that masking creates the greatest opportunity for us to protect ourselves from others and to protect others from ourselves. You've heard from an epidemiologist who kind of gave you an opinion during the course of public comment, but we're seeing this over and over again. One of the things that we saw within the ordinance that we wrote, we got a call from the school district, and we wholeheartedly believe that every governmental entity should be able to create their own policies as it relates to masking. Inside of the exceptions, it's my recommendation, along with council and the city manager, that we provide an exemption, an additional exemption for government agencies that are not the city of Palatka, for governmental agencies that are not the city of Palatka to create their own policy. So basically any of our political subdivisions, which is what they're called, they can create their own policies, i.e. the school board, the county, Palatka Housing Authority. If they choose to have their own situation, they can create their own exemptions to what we have in place. They're exempt from what we have as it relates to what's in place. The biggest thing with these masking policies that we have inside of this resolution is whenever people are unable to socially distance, which means that they are unable to be 6 feet apart from anyone else, then they're required to have their mask on. It identifies places where you have to wear masks, such as the grocery store, such as restaurants and things of that nature. We know it's impossible to wear a mask while you're eating, but you can wear a mask as you enter those premises. There are restaurants in other cities that will not allow you to come into their premises without having your mask on. And so as we go through the exemptions, as we go through the places, the exceptions that we have thus far for indoor masking are persons, it says, nothing here, wearing a face mask covering by the following people: a person under the age of 2 years old. So nothing herein shall require the wearing of a face covering by the following people: a person under the age of 2 years old, persons observing social distancing in accord with CDC guidelines, persons for whom a face covering would cause impairment due to an existing health condition, persons working in a business or profession who do not have interactions with others. So if you're in a business where you're not interacting with others and you're there by yourself or you can social distance, persons working in a business or profession who do not have interaction with other persons, Persons working in the business or profession who maintain social distancing, that's the 6 feet and above. Persons working in a business or profession where use of a face covering would prevent them from performing the duties of their profession. Persons exercising while maintaining social distancing. Persons eating and drinking. Public safety, fire, life safety, healthcare professionals as their personal protection equipment requirements will be governed by their respective agencies. The requirement shall not apply when a person who is hearing impaired needs to see the mouth of someone who's wearing a face covering. The requirement does not apply to any outdoor activity permitted under city, county, state, but face covering should be readily available when coming within 6 feet of an individual not part of a person's immediate family or cohabitating in a living unit. And so those are the exceptions. We want to add in there the governmental agencies. So L would be governmental agencies. Governmental agencies would be an exemption so that they can provide their own policies. So the school district wouldn't be hamstrung by our policy, but they could create their own masking policies, which help them. But when those people are not on school grounds, then they are bound by the policies of the city if they're within the city limits. The enforcement of these runs in concert with what the governor is doing with the executive order. And that is, it carries a penalty of up to $500. The last thing we want to do is to continually take money from our citizens, but we also want to have a mechanism in place which will allow us to have some teeth when we find ourselves in the eye of citizens not doing what they're supposed to do. And if citizens are going to continually put others in danger, then we want to have some method of making sure that we can get someone's attention and get compliance. What we seek is compliance with the order. What we're not trying to do is create a revenue source based upon what's in place. We hope that everyone will comply to the best of their ability so that this community could see the spread of COVID going down. And if we can start to see the flattening of the curve, then there's no need for us to have these things in place because they're second nature to us anyway. This resolution becomes effective at midnight, July 1st, technically July 2nd. It would be midnight, July 2nd, under section 5A. And those are the pertinent parts. Do we have any questions for me as it relates to the ordinance or any additions by council or Ms. Thomas?
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment when it's appropriate.
You're fine, you can go ahead, sir.
So we've exempted political subdivisions of the state other than the city of Palatka, which would include the school district. They can make their own policies as to what they do in their pre-K, kindergarten, et cetera. But to address the comment of the speaker, would the commission consider and or at least discuss the possibility of an exemption that would allow daycare facilities to adopt the safeguards they feel appropriate for their children, with the understanding that staff would in fact be subject to the requirement of masking?
That's fine. Can we also have the request for both the governmental agencies and also for those exempted to provide the city with the written copy of their plan as well?
Good idea.
And so I think that's definitely a great addition because it alleviates, I think what Ms. Matos brought forward is definitely a great consideration. And I think that would kind of address that concern head on, particularly when dealing with young children. Any comments from the commission?
Well, I have this, Commissioner Borum, and I had one other thing, just like we just had that addition there. As we, if this ordinance passes, and there may be others who may need some form of a proposal to the city to say, okay, well, hey, this was not part of the original passing of the ordinance. If they come forth with something similar to the daycares, like to present something that would prevent them from being fined or whatever, how would that work?
Can you repeat that last part, Commissioner?
An example would be if we pass this ordinance and like what the city manager proposed regarding the daycare, how they, may want a specific exemption or what have you, and for it to be tailored to their organization and how it works. If, for example, another organization may come forward with something after we pass this, how would we be able to work that in to, would they submit something to the city, or how would that work?
Like what, for example, what type of industry would you be speaking of, or are you thinking of?
I'm not thinking of anything, but we can have people who, this particular thing may not, it may impact, but then they might have something that need to be tweaked or rethought about and presented. So if they're going to operate without mask or however they tailor their business, then would they be able to submit the plan and not be impacted by the ordinance if it's passed? That's what I'm asking.
I think, and I guess I would say in the spirit of it, we're going to make best efforts to do what we can to accommodate, to accommodate in those areas where logically it's something that's there. But if we find that there is an industry or there's a request for an additional exemption to be put inside of the resolution, then we can always bring that back to the commission for adoption, no differently than what you would do if you were modifying an ordinance or anything else, if we believe that there should be an additional exemption or something put in place at that point.
All right. That answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. I'd like to say something. I've had to stay home because they said older people, seniors need to stay in because of health conditions. I've become a news junkie. I've jumped from one news channel to another. And when we start talking about masking, I started paying particular attention to it, not only in the United States, but other countries where it has the effect it's had when people did cover. Sometimes we said it's inconvenient and we don't feel right doing it to help ourselves. But in doing it, you're helping somebody else that you might pass it to. If you're around an older person, we don't know who's caring and who's not. And we need to be considerate of others as well. We've been put in inconveniences all our lives and have learned to adjust to them. I think it's very important for us not to want our citizens to pass away, to die. I'd like to see us be able to have all the wonderful things like our crab festival and fireworks and any other thing. But until we can get the number of people getting this disease, we're gonna have trouble. If you're really excited about doing some of these things, then it helps if you wear a mask. And if you would look forward to wearing your mask and helping others wear theirs, it might be where in another month or so, we'll be able to have a craft festival, or have fireworks, or have picnics and get together. And if we shoot for those goals, that will help us to make it through over harder times. We see that they've closed off all the nursing homes and stuff so that they made seniors where they can't see families, but they adjusted to it. And if they can, we ought to be able to. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments? Seeing no comments at this time, I'll entertain a motion. And then we'll open up for public hearing.
I make the motion that we accept the recommendation to move forward with the mandatory masking with the exemptions that have been stated.
There's a motion by Commissioner Campbell.
Second.
Just want to make sure that's clear with L added and then, okay, and the consideration for the daycares.
All the ones that
I
have
got it.
was originally posted.
Back up the public comment.
Okay,
L and M, which is the daycare considerations.
so that's,
Those are the,
okay.
so there's a motion to approve with the additions of L and M for government and also for daycare providers as exemptions. There's a second by Commissioner McCaskill. Now we'll move forward with public hearing at this time. If there's anyone here for public hearing, the number is 386-329-0100, or you can use the chat feature on the YouTube Live. I have a message from Dina Wumble. As a local business owner who would like to protect not only my family, but our livelihood, I am for extra precautions that may help reduce the spread. If we find it doesn't help, no harm done. I've got one caller on the line. Again, anyone who wishes to have their comments read or heard, the number is 386-329-0100. Additionally, you can speak through the chat function on the YouTube Live. Caller, you're on. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, this is Allegra Kitchens at 1027 South 12th Street, Blackfoot, Florida. Mayor, I just wanted to point out there appears to be an error in the resolution. The last page states that this resolution went into effect at 12:01 this morning, and that is 16 hours before the meeting. So I think perhaps you want to change that to be 12:01 July the 2nd instead of July the 1st.
Yeah, I stated that earlier.
And here I'm getting delayed feedback on this. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Is there anyone else for public comment at this time? The number is 386-329-0100 or in the chat feature. Ms. Robinson, do we have any other comments in chat?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay.
There is one question, Mayor, that was a part of the chat, and it was about Mr. Beaton. He said, is there any verbiage in the ordinance that will ask businesses to have signage to notify visitors to the Palatka ordinance, of the Palatka ordinance?
One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to actually look to help provide as a part of the ordinance to provide that information to business owners so that they can have that in place. And so we've actually talked to the health department, as well as we're looking to have some signage in place so that we can have some things and some samples of what needs to be in place for business owners. And also we're going to make sure that we have some links set up on our site so that citizens will understand the proper way to wear masks and how not to cross-contaminate. And so the educational pieces of those are going to be critical as we continually push out messaging on the proper ways to use masking and to follow the CDC regulations. And so those are all pieces that will be a part of this. And so if necessary, we can add the piece in which mandates the signage to be conspicuously placed on a business. Is that something that you'd like to see, Commissioner?
I would like to see that. Again, I was just posing the question that came from a citizen, so it wouldn't appear as if we were trying to avoid anything. I'm with it if that's something that we can add, just so that we have, so people won't go haywire on the business owners for requesting that something be enforced for their business.
Okay. Are you going to amend your motion as such?
If we can amend I would like to amend my motion that we add that businesses have the option to post the verbiage that will point back to the city of Palatka for making this decision.
Commissioner Murkowski, that's a second on the amendment.
That's a second.
Okay, so we've got that additional language to be added into the resolution. Counselor, you got that? Okay, and I see you're not. And so we have those in place. Any further discussion from the commission? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move on to item 3 of the agenda. Item 3 of the agenda is the adoption of resolution 2020 R70 to award state pricing for HMGP 4283 R66 lift station upgrades. Item A is resolution 20, and then there's item A, which is resolution 2020 R71. Just 1 second. Okay. Resolution 2020 R70, a resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, authorizing the award of Florida Department of Management Services, DMS pricing for lift station improvements through the HMGP Matthew M 4283-66R project. At this time, I entertain a motion. Actually, better yet, let's go ahead, Mr. Griffith and Ms. Tucker. You want to go ahead and talk about this project first, and then we'll entertain a motion.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Mayor, Commissioners, this project is the backup power for the 6 lift stations that we submitted an application for approximately 2 years ago. It was added to this agenda. I believe you received a memo from Ms. Tucker. We've been waiting on this modification since January in hopes that we could get some of this work done before the hurricane season. Unfortunately, that didn't occur, and we wanted to take the opportunity to at least try and get in front of it now since they've sent the modification. Those 6 locations these are the lift stations that we're adding backup power to. 4015 Reed Street, the corner of St. John's Avenue and Ziegler Drive, 501 US Highway 19, the Putnam County Jail lift station at Ori Griffin Boulevard, 114 Kelly Smith School Road, and 611 Ziegler Drive in Palatka.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. We'll now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Again, the number is 386-329-0100, or you have the chat function. Seeing no one here for public hearing, we'll go ahead and close public hearing. Council or Mr. Holmes, have you had an opportunity to look at the construction and industrial equipment, the service agreement?
Currently.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I am currently reviewing this document, and I will get back with Mr. Griffith and Ms. Tucker if I have any issues.
Okay. Mr. Holmes?
I'm the same. We have only received the document recently, but we'll review it and make certain that it's up to specs before we move forward with it.
Okay. And so we'll just make sure if there are any questions, then we will bring it back before the commission. If there are any issues that can't be resolved through communication between council or the city manager, we'll bring it back before the commission. Is there any further discussion from the commission on this matter?
Question.
Questions called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Were you opposed, Commissioner Boyle?
No, I didn't. I said
Here it
I.
is. Okay, I was just trying to make sure. You know, Commissioner McCaskey's been slow on the trigger a little bit.
Came in late, Mayor. That was me, but I was not opposed to it.
Okay, I thought it was Commissioner Borum. I'm sorry. Okay, so Commissioner McCaskill has me making sure I get the correct tally these days. So sometimes have technical difficulties with the unmute. So, all right, Commissioner Campbell, you got to speed up. So we've got that. We're done with that. Moving on to item A, which is resolution 2020 R71. Resolution 2020 R71 says a resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, authorized execution of modification number 1 to FDEM contract number 80081. Mr. Griffin, this is all a part of the summary for the upgrades. This is the second part of it.
Yes, sir. This is the modification that we were speaking to. I apologize, some additional information on that previous item. We did put a bid out and got multiple responses. We're not satisfied with those results. And then we went back to the Florida Division of Emergency Management and procured off of their state contract. This specific item is the modification. It takes the total project costs up to $613,585 and brings our local share to $153,396.
Much needed project. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So move.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a second by Commissioner Campbell. We'll now open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close public hearing. Is there any further discussion from the commission?
Just got a question on the that particular project and the 153. Do we have, as the city manager or the finance director, do we have the funding for this project? The funding for this budgeted or anything?
Go ahead, Mr. Griffin.
I was waiting on Ms. Becker to unmute. This is this increase is
It's a copy of it. Okay.
For the utility budget.
Oh, it's part. You said it's part of it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We've included this increase in our end of year projection for the utility budget.
All right. I mean, I just wanted to, because this was not it was not like this was almost like this is an emergency item here. Look like what we're having from the previous meeting or whatever, or was this a planned thing?
It's treated almost like an emergency item. It's an agenda item, but what happened is the information didn't come in until recently. And so with time being of the essence with hurricane season approaching, they wanted to take a stab at seeing how quickly they could get this project moving.
Yeah, I could add something to that, Mayor. We're seeing this with a lot of the agencies that we're dealing with at the state level. The Division of Emergency Management has been bogged down with a lot of COVID-19 issues. That's one of the reasons that they gave us that we didn't receive this modification earlier when we requested it in January. So we wanted to take advantage of this opportunity and get it executed and get it back to them as soon as possible so as to not waste any more time.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Okay, yeah, it's a good question just to make sure it was a budgeted item and wasn't some amendment to the budget as well needed. So definitely a good question. Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, all in favor say, I'm sorry, yeah, I already closed public hearing. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 4 of the agenda about resolution 2020 R72, authorizing execution of the USDA 4280-2 grant documents. And this resolution reads as follows. A resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, authorizing the execution of all necessary documents, accepting the United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development Grant in the amount not to exceed $93,000 for a marketing analysis, feasibility study, and a planning document. And so Ms. Tucker or Mr. Tucker, you want to take this?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we received notification from USDA last week that this grant was going to be coming through. I received the documents on Monday morning and was told that I needed to get them back as quickly as possible. I explained our next scheduled meeting was on the 23rd. I was informed that that was not going to work and that we would lose the funding unless we had everything back to them that they needed before the 10th. So when I heard that this meeting had been called, I took the opportunity to ask if this could be placed on as an emergency item so that we wouldn't have to have another special called meeting within the next 7 days.
If you recall, this is the feasibility study where they're.
Yes, sir. It's the feasibility study for the business incubator, the marketing analysis for the city, and the planning document to go along with those two for the possible location of the incubator at Central Academy.
Can you hear me?
No, I think it froze on me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's my computer. This is actually the $100,000 in feasibility for the CA project.
Yes, sir.
This is for the Central Academy, right?
And for the business incubator that I hope that you all will push through. If we teach people how to do their own businesses and how to keep them, we'll be a better city.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It covers both of those things as well as the marketing analysis.
And it is our 4th priority that we set, what, 8 years ago to get the incubator going.
About 5.
I will be visiting y'all. I might not be sitting up here, but I'll be visiting y'all when this comes up because it's very important to help our town and our people.
Just wear your mask when you visit.
No, I hope I won't be wearing a mask in January.
So,
after dear.
okay, so are there any other questions from the commission? Seeing no further questions.
Yeah, this is
Commissioner Board, I hear you.
Yeah, we're talking about the marketing analysis and all that stuff. So how many phases are we gonna have with this?
How many phases?
Yeah, well, this is just the marketing side of and the feasibility study and for the incubator and everything else that they're gonna have going. So this is just the first phase of it.
This is the first phase. It's the most critical. I think it gives you the direction as to where you go from here. Once you determine that the project in itself is feasible, then it gives you the direction of where to go, and it also gives you an opportunity to look for the funding sources as well. We've got a task force that's working on the Central Academy aspects of it, as far as that particular facility is concerned, to look and see if there's an opportunity for some federal funding. Congressman Yoho has taken the lead on that. And so we've been kind of working forward with that, but this is also the piece that we've been doing. We started out with Catholic Charities. We've looked at the Beaver Street. We looked at Beaver Street. Just quick history.
Not Catholic Charities. You started out with the Episcopal Diocese.
I'm sorry. Episcopal Diocese with Father Bob. And so we went from there, Beaver Street. We've gone through a list of things looking forward, including historically the acquisition of those properties on 11th Street as well during that time. And so this is the first phase of being able to actually get the funding from USDA to look at how the market would fare if it's feasible and how we would actually set up a plan to move forward.
All right. Well, Tim, do we have anything on paper how everything is going to be played out for the most part, at least the tentative?
Yeah, we've got some stuff. If you get with Ms. Tucker, and also you get with Mr. Griffith, and even if you get with John Nelson from the Housing Authority, they also have a very detailed plan as well.
Could I ask that Griffin and Ms. Tucker sit down with me? I'd like to see in which direction it was going, because for a long while, since 1985, I've been looking at this and pushing the city to do it.
We're
And
not at that direction point. We're just trying to do the feasibility aspect right now.
I want to know about all of it, because
Just get with them. They're open.
okay.
They are open. It's not a secret. It's a fluid program, and any input is definitely welcome, because it gives us some other things that we can put in place as we move forward with this task force. And so whatever input that you have, just get with Ms. Tucker or Mr. Griffin, and for all commissioners, just get that information to them, and then we can actually start to include that, because at this point, it's pretty much a big wish list. And so, anything else, Commissioner Borum?
No, I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of meat.
We can get it for you. Definitely it's something that was worked on for a long time by Mr. Nelson when he was with the Housing Authority. Also, Dr. Woods. They're both part of the task force. They've got significant historic information as well as blueprints that they had drawn for the facility. And we've been talking continuously with USDA. You guys were in the chamber when we had those conversations, and so that's been really one of the big pushes to get USDA to give us the money to see the feasibility aspects were in place to try to create the sustainable workforce, the training centers, and the incubation, so that we can start to create additional commerce streams off of this particular project. So with that being said, I'll entertain it. Do we have a motion on this already?
Yeah, it's the second. It's already been second. It was just a question.
Okay, I'll open the floor for public comment at this time. Just for housekeeping purposes, let's go ahead and do the motion in second again, just so I can have that in place.
I think I made the motion.
Yeah, and who made the second? Somebody else made the second. I'll make the second if they don't re-second it, but I'll make a second.
Okay, yeah, I fell off track on that. So we got a motion by Vice Mayor Brown, second by Commissioner Borum, if we don't already have it. Now we're open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone here for public hearing? The number is 386-329-0100. Do we have anyone for public hearing, Ms. Robinson?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, do we have anything in the chat? Seeing nothing, we'll go ahead and close public hearing. Any further discussion from the commission? Commissioner Markowski, did you have something before I start talking?
No, I don't.
Okay. Anything further from the commission? Seeing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
I have nothing further there except to tell you that
we're in the middle corner. Go ahead.
Have nothing to say other than to apologize for any little bit of lack of organization that we might have had in today's meeting, as you know, but the public may not, and all the commissioners may not. We're down 3 in City Hall. That means 3 from what we had, I guess, last week or the week before, including well, Ms. Krantz, Ms. Courtney Tillis, and also Patty. So Ms. Robinson is doing yeoman service and filling in, and we're pulling from finance to have some people come down and help, and basically plugging holes with people who are willing to step over and do a job that isn't really there. So Ms. Robinson did a great job today, along with Sunny, who is working from home. So if there has been any little glitch, please understand that we're working under a little bit of a different circumstance right now. And all of our, I would mention that all of our absences are, well, they're all either attributable to COVID testing or COVID exposures at this time.
So again, we definitely have our thoughts and prayers to our citizens and our staff for positive results. And so, do you have anything else for us, Mr. Holmes?
I do not.
And so, I just want to publicly say that you're doing a great job. You stepped into the role dealing with this pandemic, and you've that's my Palatka twang, and you've literally hit the ground rolling. I don't think there has been really much time to breathe, let alone just continue to push forward. Our staff's done an awesome job as well, moving in and dealing with all these issues and dealing with just the psychological aspects that come along with continually being in a position where you're exposed to COVID, you're exposed to individuals who may have come in contact with someone who's positive, and we've continually all been tested around here. And so, for the sacrifices that everyone makes, I just want to say personally that I thank all of you guys for the work that you've done, for the way in which you've tackled the challenges of us being shorthanded on many occasions, whether it's by medical absences or just from filling positions and just stepping up and doing other things. And I think that's the beauty of the teamwork aspect of the city of Palatka. And I just want you guys to know that we totally appreciate you and it doesn't go unnoticed.
We have the staff, thank you very much.
And so we're gonna move in just a little differently. Any department heads who have anything that you need to bring out today, if you could just kind of by show of hand, let me know so that I can get you on board. You can go in. Do any departments have anything that they need to go ahead and address or announce right now? Seeing none, Mr. Yo, you're okay? It's quiet on your end.
I'm fine, sir. Thank you. Nothing to report here. We're checking people in as they're coming in.
All right, we got it. And we appreciate Sunny for being on board, even though she's at home. And so again, we just want to thank everybody for what they've got. We'll close out with commission comments. Commissioner Borum, you're up first.
I have no comments today.
All right. Commissioner Campbell, you're next.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Just real quickly, I would like to task staff not to put any additional things on you, knowing that we're shorthand. However, there are some questions that came up in the chat that we were not able to answer due to us moving past the portion regarding the mask. So if we could vet through those questions and do like a question and answer type deal and post on our social media platforms, as well as our website, I think that will help us have a solid message that we're sending out to all the citizens within the city or those that visit the city that we're able to point them back to. It was just a few questions that I think were very, very good questions that should be addressed in any platform that we can get it out in.
Yeah. Do you want to address them now or do you want to wait?
I kind of lost them, but two that I have right off the bat is one says, will there be a penalty for those who do not wear a mask? And of course, I think that was something that was addressed during the time of your comment. And then there was one, does the ordinance have an expiration in which it will have to be renewed if it continues? And again, I think that was something, again, that was.
I think you froze.
I don't know how far you got in hearing what he said, but he was questioning whether or not there was an expiration date.
Well, I think we're going to stay status quo through the emergency period. And if we find that there's a flattening and and we're in a position where we transition to the next level, then we can always come back and address it at that point. Did you get that? I think my internet connection is kind of shaky. Were you able to hear me?
It came through my end, Mayor. So.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Campbell? Did we lose him?
Looks like it.
Looks like we lost Commissioner Campbell. I guess we'll go to you, Commissioner Markowski, while he's rebooting.
No, I don't have any comments at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor, do you have anything else?
I've said what I felt like in my heart that needed to be said to the public, to the people we love, to wear the mask, please. That's it.
Okay. Great comments as well. I don't have anything. I think my sentiments have kind of been there. Where I am right now is I'm just really concerned for the community as a whole. Looking at the numbers that we have here in Putnam County, our proportionate share of that number looks a lot like the rise we're seeing in the state. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we do everything necessary to protect our citizens. While masking is not popular, masking is safe. And I can tell you, for me, I don't wish these experiences of the last few weeks on anyone. And I can tell you, I've got a family member who indicated to me that he wouldn't wish COVID on his worst enemy as he sits in the hospital. And so we're going to do everything we can to make sure that no one has to experience what he's experiencing right now in that hospital. And we want to make sure that we're doing our part as a community to stop the spread of COVID and to flatten the curve in Putnam. We're almost 70% of all the cases right now, and we're hoping that that number goes down every day and that the citizens who are experiencing COVID find themselves in a much better place on the other side of positive as they begin to try to find a new normal as they reemerge. And so with that being said, if there's nothing further in place, then we're going to go ahead and close out this meeting with the motion to adjourn from anyone.
Don't move.
Okay. So by consent, we are adjourned. And the time is 4:10. Thank you very much.
Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you.